we're missing the law about like what is intent, like how do we
Right.
construct intent around this. And then we started to like spiral around and like, okay, what is
Yeah.
intent, where does intent come
What
from?
does that meant look like? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I feel like, I kind of like asserted, like I do in a lot of cases, and sometimes it gets me in trouble. I was like, well, what
Yeah.
if we, what it would look like if we wrote a law about intent? And what
Hmm.
does that look? And does it an intersection of laws? Is it a new law? Is it like a subset of AI laws from our existing things? And I think that's really, and I recognize I'm kind of circuitously answering your question, but I
Right.
think that there's a lot of kind of directionality in just like how we got here with this particular mindset. It's
Hmm.
because there's a hole. And whenever we as professionals in the field see a gap, we wonder if the gap is just because we missed something. Is the gap because we have to redefine something? Is this just, are we solving a different problem entirely? Is
Hmm.
this just the launching point for a whole nother universe? Like, are we finding Whoville on the edge of the
Right.
flower?
Right. Right.
So I think that it might be a little bit more, hmm, I don't want to say beneficial or meaty, but I think I get more excited instead of talking about like, what's the applications of the new laws, or like how do we do this, with like where are we like what is the shape of the world looking like that's beginning these conversations. I started kicking around this idea about like the absence of the next
Hmm.
law that we need, and what do we do with it? What do we call it? Like, what's the intent of it? Like, is there a snappy branded name? I was like, let's go with
Hmm.
Marvin's Law. But I originally was like, okay, well, what is the spirit of this? So I was like, okay, I just gave it a name for the purpose of framing it. So I started calling it the glass box law. And so
Hmm.
I'll read you a little bit about it. So if you
Hmm.
put something in a glass box, you can see exactly what's inside it. The same should be true for AI systems. When users should be able to easily understand what the AI is doing, why it's doing it, and how it reached those decisions. Think of it like having a really good friend help you out. They don't just do
Hmm.
things for you, they keep you in the loop about what they're up to. So what are the criteria, or kind of like the
Right.
measurements of the glass box law? So the
Right.
first is show your work. AI should walk you through what it's thinking, like a friend explaining their reasoning. Example, I'm suggesting we reschedule because you've declined similar meetings in this time slot before.
Right.
Second, it should speak human, no robot speak at all, no beeps and boops, real language, real people. Technical jargon, technical jargon should be translated into everyday language. Three, make it easy to look under the hood. Users should not have to go through complex menus or documentation. It's important that information is where it needs to be. Four, keep users in the loop. Don't wait till after the fact. Always let your users know what's happening when it's happening. Five, read the room. Context matters. When AI explains itself, it should match what the user intent is. Less is more when you're in a hurry, but they should be able to get more detail in the same moment. Six,
Hmm.
leave a trail. Users should always be able to look back and understand why certain decisions were made, thinking of it like having a conversation history. Seven,
Right.
keep the person in control. Being transparent is not enough. Users need to be able to say, let's do this a little differently and adjust work on the fly. Kind of summarizing, when users can see the inside of the glass box of AI systems, they're more likely to trust and effectively use the tools. And it's the difference between having mystery for making decisions or having a trusted advisor help you live your better life. I like how you pulled back my quote back at me about whisper your wish, because I've been spending a lot of time thinking about how we're moving, not away from, but we're moving around this ecosystem of click by click interfaces to whisper your
Hmm.
wish AI agents. And, we're in this growth period where they're starting to like really intersect and like learn how to play with each other. But, you still have to get into a car with a steering wheel,
Hmm.
a lot of the times. And what does the steering wheel look like and how does it work? And Waymo, taking over, like, what do we think about, steering and
Yeah.
driving? And, it's allowing you to go between the intent and the input,
Hmm.
and kind of fluidly move back and forth. But you, as a user with human cognitive psychology, like your brain is still in one area. Your brain is still
Hmm.
like, hey, let's get something done. So,
Hmm.
we as UX designers are navigating this like multi input, multifaceted, multimodal world, but we still have to design for the brain, and we still have to
Right.
define design and
For our
create.
psychology. Yeah.
Exactly. So like, how
Yeah.
do you it's really interesting. I just have like these moments as I'm talking. I like black out when I'm talking. I'm like, wait a minute, that's an idea.
Yeah.
So, like how do we, deliver the intent, but get
Hmm.
there through so many different ways? And like, how do we make it feel trustworthy? And how do we make it
Right.
feel, how do you take the black box out of it so you can validate it, you can look at it?
Right.
Yeah, these are just these
Yeah.
things I think about.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think this is where,
As a human species, as a a
right.
creature of chaos, like why are we okay with inflicting our own chaos on the system as opposed to inflicting our own chaos on the outcome?
It's because our chaos. I think this is gonna this I did not expect this conversation to go into kind of the philosophical realm, but I think well, every conversation goes in that. But I think it's because it's our chaos. But we are okay. Somehow we're okay with other humans making mistakes. We are not okay with
Mhm,
other like machines
mhm,
making mistakes, right? Dystopian novels that have the AI overlord are far more fascinating and interesting than
mhm.
dystopian novels that have um
An agent, like a
human
human agent actor.
or a human actor in general, like a
Yeah.
human, like, oh, we've seen that story, but we know how that plays out. So
Cylons
uh,
are people too.
that's a bumper sticker if I ever saw one. But I think the idea of like, hey, we have been designing machine to machine interfaces, these APIs, and um, I think I think how is it different from an AI agent? It's because
Mhm,
I think there was an intent there. I think, oh, whenever
mhm,
I'm designing an API, I know
mhm,
I'm going to design it for machine consumption, right? But when I'm designing my app, I'm not designing it for machine
mhm,
consumption. To me, the user is, a person, sitting in front of a screen or,
mhm,
talking to the
mhm,
system. It is
mhm,
not, um, an AI model sitting in a server somewhere, right?
mhm, mhm,
Um, so I think to me, that's the difference. This idea of intent, like you're talking about, right? Like the intent for me as a designer isn't that this is going to, but maybe that's the big changes that we'll need to bring out in our design philosophy. Is like you are not going to just be designing for um a a human human user. You have to take it into account. The human user might be sitting behind multiple layers of AI agents, right?
mhm.
And how does that change your design process? And
I
I
actually
yeah.
wrote something about that specifically. So
Okay.
one of the things that it says is people are more tolerable for minor usability issues when design of a product or service is aesthetically pleasing. And I put in the my post-it says alert. I don't know if you can see that, but it says
Yeah.
watch out. I said watch out for weaponizing beautiful design. Don't hide shitty UX behind good VX. It makes everybody look bad.